jump back into data entry, typing data into cells, right? So you can simply select any cell that you want the data in, and you can simply start typing. Okay, it could be text, it could be numbers, it could be special characters along with text and numbers, right? It's fairly easy, fairly simple. Data types. So in general, we have two major categories of data types. So one is text and the other one is numeric. Within numeric, we could have integers, we could have floating point numbers or decimal numbers such as 1.5, 10.3, and so on. And within text, we have different kinds of text, right? It could be text only, or it could be text with numbers. It could be text with special characters. For example, credit card numbers are generally shown in four numbers separated by hyphens. So 16 digits, four blocks of numbers separated by hyphens. So all those kind of different derivations of textual data, right? But if you want to see the actual list of what is supported, you can do control 1, or you could see this list. So we have general, which basically takes in all kinds of data formats, and then we have number, currency, and accounting. So number, currency, and accounting are basically numbers, right? But they have different use cases. So for example, if you are working for an accounting firm and you want to do accounting, basically accounting formatting is actually desired and required, so that you can showcase the numbers in the format that accounting requires. If you want to show currency, for example, rupee, dollar, things like that. A number is basically simple number. It could be a decimal with or without the decimal point. And then we have other formats of numbers, so percentages, fractions, scientific, and so on. Date is another type of number. We will talk extensively about dates when we move forward. And then obviously text, which could be anything from the text, special characters, ABCD, capitals, everything. Right? Now you could get the same list by saying control 1, and it will give you the exact same thing. Okay, so these were the data types. Now editing a cell, so let's say I have my name here. Okay, I want to edit this now, so I can either do a double click and start typing, or I can do F2, and it will basically go in the edit mode. Okay, now we completed editing a cell. Now let's see some autofill actions. So I'll give you a very general use case. Suppose you want to type in numbers from 1 to 10, right? So I can say 1 and 2. Okay, I can select these, and if you look very closely on the right bottom corner, you would see a very small dot. If you put your cursor there, hold this cursor, okay, and drag it down, you would basically see something like this. So it takes more than one cell as input, and it identifies what comes next, and basically this action will like figure out what is the next number or text that should come in this series. Okay, so I can do the same thing for dates. Let's remove this. Okay, let me do date, and let's say I want to do tomorrow's date, and if I take these two dates, okay, you would see okay, so it correctly identified everything from here. Okay, so what happened here is that it is actually a formula, not a value. Okay, so if I redo this, it should work correctly, right? So basically because this cell was a formula, it did not correctly identify what is going to be happening next, right? So now when I remove the formula and gave it the values, it correctly identified that we are going one day at a time, right? So first, second, third January, and so on, right? So this is autofill. uh, Let me give you another example. So A, B, and C, right? And if I do this, okay, so it will not know in this context, it will not know where the next one is D or E or F, right? It will basically, if it doesn't understand the series itself, what it will do, it will repeat whatever has been selected from starting. So ABC was selected, it repeated the ABC again, right? Another thing is, if you want to autofill, let's say 1 throughout, you can select the entire range where you want the values, and basically do control D or command D, right? So it will autofill everything according to whatever the value you have selected on top. Okay, so let me give you another example. So if you have something like this, 1, 2, and 3, right? This action basically understand what comes next. But if I do select this entire thing and do command D or control D, it will basically take the first selected value and copy it throughout. Okay, so these are the two actions that you can do when it comes to autofill, right? Now many a times you would need to enter dates and time in Excel. So what you can do is, there is a simple shortcut to it. If you do control semicolon, it will basically give you today's date in the cell. And if you do control shift semicolon, uh, sorry, command colon in Mac, and control shift colon in Windows, these shortcuts would basically give you date and time in Excel, and the time would be exactly the time that is right now, and date of today's date, right? So these are the date and time shortcuts. Flash fill, okay, this is a special option that is in Excel, and it could be very helpful in some cases. Okay, so let me give you uh, this type of data and so on. So let me put D here, okay, and I press enter. What is D? D is basically the letter right after hyphen, right? So if I do control E, you would see that it autofills everything as per my desired outcome from example from the first case. So D is an example here, and Excel automatically knows that D is something that comes after hyphen, so anything that comes after hyphen should be there, right? So for example, let me say T T. Okay, let me delete this and then redo this, right? So it automatically knows that anything that comes after hyphen. Obviously this is very tricky in some cases, but it should work fairly easy if you know exactly or if you know how to give the right example, right? It will become very easy. Okay, so let me delete this data, and let's say I want month here, 12, right? If I do control E, you would see that it basically failed, right? uh, Here it might have taken 1 and 2 also in the consideration, so it is giving me everything from here and then here. So if I delete this, if I delete this also, and then I delete this, and then I say 12, and then I do control E, okay, you would see it actually gave me correct results. Okay, the only thing is instead of 0 1, it is saying 1, because if you put 0 1 here also, it will automatically become 1, right? So this is flash fill for you. Let's talk about drop down list. So suppose I have a list of country. Now I want basically a drop down list here that will basically show me all these countries, and those are the allowed values in that list. Okay, so what I can do is I can go into data tab and go through data validation. Okay, and click here, right? In data validation, what is data validation? I'll give you just a brief example, and this is just a basic use case of how data validation is enforced. So what you can do is you can click on this drop down, and it will basically show say any value, which means you are allowed to fill anything that is possible within this cell, but you can restrict it to whole numbers, decimal, or list, or date, time, text, length. Like you can specify what is the maximum size of text that you can fill in, or custom, which will basically be like a formula or something. So let's go to the list. When you select list, what it will ask you, it will ask you to tell it the source of this list. Okay, so I can basically go ahead and select my list, okay, from A2 to A5. Click OK, and you would see that there is a drop down menu now, and if you click on it, you would see these 4 values, right? If I do, let's say, anything else and press enter, it basically gives me an alert: this value doesn't match the data validation restrictions defined for this cell. And then you can basically retry, right? So only these 4 values are allowed, or it must be blank, nothing else, right? So this is the data validation part that is for the drop down list. Now let me delete this. Okay, large numbers. So Excel, it has its own limitations. So in every cell you can have a maximum of 15 digit number. Okay, let me show you what it means. So let's say I have 1 2 3 4. Okay, so you would see that it shows you the scientific notation, which is 1.23457 exponent, or raised to the power plus 13. But at the back end, if you look closely, it will show you the exact same number, right? Now if you would notice, this is let me add one more number. Okay, so this is a total of 15 digits. If you look closely here, you will see exactly 15 digits. Okay, and it's the exact same number that I typed in, right? Now if I add another number, which is 6, and I press enter, you would see that 6 is not appearing. So the maximum precision that Excel allows you to have is 15 digits, and after that anything that you will enter becomes a 0. So Excel doesn't know how to show it. Okay, it's restricted to that. So this is the large numbers, but what happens if you have a credit card or debit card number, or anything which takes more than 15 digits, and you need all the numbers, you don't want to show zeros after 15 digits. So for those kind of scenarios, what we do is we put a single quote at the beginning, and then we can type in everything that we need. Okay, you would see a warning symbol immediately. What it means is the number that we have is being stored as a text, right? So the workaround that we are using now is that if you have a very large number and you put a single quote in front of it, Excel consider it as text. This is how we are going to show large numbers if we have any. Okay, so I think this is more than enough for you to understand what data entry is all about. What are the different things that you will be thinking about when you are entering the data, and how to validate the data for forms and anything else.